What's up, Vibers? Coding used to be about grinding out lines. Now it's about partnering with AI to create. We're diving into what this looks like, why it matters, and how to keep your soul in the work while tech keeps changing. So hang tight. We got a show for you. Welcome back, Vibers. It's good to have you here for another show. We are doing this live, which is cool. So if you want to comment, you're welcome to chime in. A little bit of housekeeping. I'm going to just pop this up on the screen here. Make sure you come over to getavibe.com where we have our free playbook. This is an AI playbook that's going to help you strategize where to go next when it comes to AI. You can get the current news on LinkedIn and subscribe to the YouTube channel where you'll see amazing episodes like this one. We've got a lot of upcoming episodes and more being scheduled as we speak. So we got some cool tools and resources in there for you. Our goal is to help you learn coding and AI so that you can get your vibe on. And so we've got a killer guest today. I'm going to introduce our guest today is Matthew Christiansen. And he's built tech teams, scaled startups, and delivered over 180 apps for Fortune 500 companies. And best-selling authors. He's the former CTO of BrightBridge Web, now a software engineer at Limble, and a co-organizer of the Google Developer Group SLC and Angular community Meetup. He's a powerhouse in Angular, AI, Nest, and Go, and he's been featured on shows like Front Row Dads and The Eternal Optimist, where he brings both depth and heart to every conversation from tech to grief to family. We're talking about how to build smarter with AI, use tools like Cursor to move faster, and what it really means to code with purpose in a world obsessed with speed. So massive welcome to Matthew Christiansen.
Thank you. Happy to be here, Nick.
Yeah, it's good to have you. You know, I like to start with your history of how you even got into coding. Do you mind taking us back a little bit?
Oh, yeah. I'd be happy to go back.
Yeah, let's do it.
It goes way back, actually. So I started when I was 10.
Holy cow.
I was wanting to do a science fair project building a video game. I got into a tool called Game Maker, and I built a game that was in different colors and would test to see if that affected people's reflexes and stuff, and made it to a national level at the science fair. And man, I just knew it was
10 years old.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah. And so then, when I was 14, I built my first website. I was doing the Google arbitrage. So I was buying traffic, selling traffic. And these were the days that the left justified sites, we thought it was so cool when you had you're building with Dreamweaver and, you're using put and get and, FileZilla. And, but those were fun days because you could buy traffic and sell, you could buy traffic and then sell ads and make a buck.
Yeah.
And then from there, I went on to kind of like you were saying in your intro, I worked at a company called Smarter Voice, where we built sites for authors. And then eventually I started a company called BrightBridge Web that I grew to about 20 employees. We built many, many sites for all sorts of people in all sorts of frameworks. And then, I got tired of having 20 bosses at once. And so after I sold that company, I decided I'd do game dev for a season just for fun. Got a game on Steam.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Planet Surfer.
Say it again. What is it?
It's called Planet Surfer. It's kind of like Temple Run.
Okay.
You're like a flying vehicle. It's kind of fun.
Oh, we're going to have to check that out. Planet Surfer.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
And then now I've been at Limble for a while. I just, they're making me a tech lead now. I intentionally joined just as an engineer because I just wanted to code and not be in leadership, but I couldn't help but get into a leadership position.
You're like, dude, you're too good. We got to move you up. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I saw you speak, you trained a little bit at the Google event here in Salt Lake. And so that's where you and I connected.
Yep.
So keep going. Is there more about your history that?
Well, most recent development, I just interviewed with Mink. It was Texan. and I got a Google Developer Expert from passing an interview with one of the Angular core team members.
Oh, really? Holy
so
crap.
I'm legit now. So
you're kind of, I don't know how to say this, but you're kind of a big deal, right?
well, I tell that to like people in my community, and they're like, "What's that?" Like,
yeah, they're like, "I have no idea what you're saying." You need to be able to pop up media on here, B-roll, like Anchorman and GIFs would be awesome.
Yeah.
So you're in Angular, and you're an expert in it, obviously. But can you tell us a little bit about Angular, what it is? And a lot of people watching this are going to be brand new, just like me.
Yeah. So Angular used to be considered the complicated framework for building like a JavaScript framework. So you have your front end frameworks.
Yeah.
That like JavaScript used to be kind of what you'd use with HTML, right? And then these front end frameworks came out that made it better. Kind of like React came out.
Okay.
And then Angular came out by Google. And for a while, Angular was considered the more complicated one for big applications and enterprise development. But I got to say, recently, it's become incredibly better for everyone. They've released something called control flow syntax, and which makes it so you can put if statements like, right in your HTML. They've brought in something called signals that make variable declaration easier across components. And really, when I first got into Angular, I'd been doing React for 8 years, and it felt like a step backwards. But after the past 3 releases, it's felt far better than
React.
Yep. Yeah. Which is why I got the Angular GDE instead of going the React route.
Yeah, I like that. So Angular, and help me with this, is more about like pre-built components, right? Or libraries. Is that right?
Yes.
And then you plug them into the programming, and it makes it easy to communicate.
Yes. Yeah. So I could show you real quick if
cool. If you want to share your screen, you're welcome to. I'll pop it up here.
Perfect. All right. So let me see. Okay. Is that working?
Yeah. Let me drop this banner here. We'll get rid of that. See if it helps you. Is that good there?
If it looks good to you, it's good to me.
It looks good to me.
All right.
It looks like a foreign language, so it's perfect. It's got to be right.
Awesome. Yeah. So this looks pretty complicated, right? But all I had to do to make this was really just a inside terminal. I ran a command that's ng new, and then it will make all the boilerplate stuff you see here. Think of that like your base Lego, the green Lego.
Yeah.
It goes on top of.
Okay. So the big flat Lego. Perfect. Yep. I like the analogy. Yep. And NG stands for Angular, right? That's their code. Yeah. Their call code, basically.
Yep. Okay. Yep. NG means it's Angular. And so after I did that, like literally that's all this app is, an ng new. And then I did one other thing. Then, at that point, if you want to make a component, you do ng space generate space component, and then you type the name of your component.
Okay.
And then it will make it.
You have to know the components in order to do that? Do you have to have a pretty good memory of what's available to you?
So that's the cool thing is when you're creating a component in Angular, you're really just making a set of HTML, CSS, and TypeScript.
Okay.
TypeScript right there. So if I did ngc, it would just give me another HTML, another CSS, another TypeScript file. And then I could then come to like this component here, and I could add the name of my new component to it.
Okay.
So.
And what IDE are you in?
So I just realized I'm showing you a GitHub right now. So I should share over directly to my IDE, which is Cursor. So let me switch screens here.
You bet. Yeah, don't show us all your APIs and stuff. I heard about your experience. Can you tell people a little bit about that?
Man, yeah,
Yeah.
that was a good one. So, some places you interview and they say, hey, when you're want to get a job as a developer, you interview, and a common question is like, what's your biggest mistake? And I have a pretty good mistake, which was when I was running my business, I accidentally left a key publicly exposed, and it was on a public GitHub repo.
Oh man.
It was an AWS key, and a week later, I went onto AWS and I found a $30,000 bill. Someone
Oh my gosh.
hacked my AWS and used it to Bitcoin farm.
Oh my gosh. And so you had to probably end up paying that, right?
Well, fortunately, AWS is pretty forgiving the first time.
Yeah.
And so I was
Holy
good.
crap. Yeah,
But,
man, you lucked out.
yeah. But as you can see here, this key is hidden in my environment. So don't have to worry about that anymore. I
Yeah.
learned this lesson 10 years ago. It never will happen again.
Yeah, right. Especially on a live broadcast. We're like, dude, I can't blur out.
Yes. Yeah. So I'll show you actually. We can make a new component right now. So if we did ng, you can do GC, which stands for generate component.
Okay.
I'm going to go new component. Oh. And so, man, I don't know why I'm having an issue on that. Oh, I might need to be CD deeper.
And why do you prefer cursor? What is it about cursor that you like?
Oh my goodness. If you aren't using cursor, you should use, actually, we can use cursor to solve this. Oh, why can't I NGGC?
This is exactly why you like cursor right there.
You don't need a Google search. I mean, you can have an AI helper right inside your code base. It'll index your code base, but it can also be in agentic mode.
Where it can build for you, right?
Yeah. And so in agent mode, it will build for you.
And in ask mode, you can ask it questions and.
Yep. So you see there, we had to do npx NGGC, and that's what we were missing.
Okay.
And so Cursor just ran that for us in agentic mode. And you can see we have a new component here, which really is just a collection of HTML, CSS, and TypeScript. And so when you NGGC, it generates that for you. And then you could come to a parent component and you could add the name of that component to this component. So you could say component like that. And really, after you generate your component, you just need to, so this selector is called app component. So I would put a app component within tags inside my parent component. And yeah, like that. And then that component would be visible in the parent component. And why that's nice is because if you think about it, if we didn't have any components, we were doing this old school style, then this could turn into a really long HTML file.
Yeah.
And you might have JavaScript in the same HTML file. And I worked on sites in the past that were like that. But now in Angular, you can just generate a component and then put the name of the selector inside the component you want to show it on. So like this could be called button, for example, and we could have the code for the button in here, which would be something like that. And then we'd have a button that generates the model that we could use in any other component.
Yeah. Wow. So, on the back end, I'll inspect a website, right? And the benefit of being online is, you get the UX and the UI is all clean and you don't have to see all the back end stuff. But when you get in there, it's super complicated. A lot of it, there's a lot of coding that goes on, the HTML, the JavaScript, CSS, TypeScript. Yeah. I'm just throwing out words. I'll just make stuff up from here. And, but we get this clean interface on our side over here as the user, but behind the scenes, there's all this all this work going on. And that's where this coding comes in, is you're getting the applications to talk to each other. You're getting data from one point to another, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so Angular, why does it help you do that easier than any other program?
Yeah. So there's a lot of reasons, but what you're talking about, components, is one big reason.
Okay.
So in React is also a good option. Like, I could build anything I wanted, pretty much anything in React or in Angular. But I really like the way that you can. So in React, you make what's called a TSX file or a JSX file, and in one file you will have your HTML as well as your JavaScript combined.
Okay.
And here in Angular, you can see that they're separated. So that, for one, makes files smaller and less, not get crazy long. And I mean, one other reason, a lot of people say React is that they want to use something called GraphQL, which is a kind of a way to talk to your database or map things up to talk to another service that talks to your database. But Angular can use GraphQL just fine as well. So really, anything React can do, I can do in Angular, but you also can just, create components with, this sort of ease, NG-GC component, just piece them together kind of like Legos, and, you have your app.
Yeah. You start with your foundation, right? Your new component, or your new we'll just call it the foundation. It's the ng new, right?
Yep.
And then that lays the framework. And then on top of that, you add these components in, and they're essentially blocks that you can put together, right? And build whatever you want. Essentially, you can build out any application you can think of. Can you do websites, web design? Is that like, what can Angular do?
Yep. I mean, it can do it all. Websites, web design. And so we can go ahead and start this up, and you'll be able to see what we have here. Let's see.
And are you familiar with the term vibe coding?
Yeah, that's usually when you're just using your AI to code, mainly.
Yeah. So somebody without any background, when they come in and listen to this recording, if they're doing vibe coding, then they probably won't be diving into things like, Angular or React or Python or anything like that, correct? The application, the AI will do that for them.
Yeah. So if I was to vibe code this,
yeah,
I just did a bunch of commands to get this to run, right? Like,
yeah.
And you can see localhost is running here. And so if I share my full screen, I could show you what the site looks like. But if I did not know those commands, like how I wasn't sure that I needed to do npx or ng, which honestly, every software engineer, even if they have years and years of experience, there's a lot of things that they don't know.
Right.
The meme used to be like, what makes a good software engineer? Oh, they can know how to Google search,
Yeah.
But now it's, what makes a good software engineer? Oh, they know how to like AI search, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I do. If I don't know the answer, I'll jump in like Firebase or Cursor, and just ask it. I'll be like, so what's happening here, and where do I find this, and what's next?
Yeah. So I could go into ask mode here, for example. Like you saw, I just figured out how to start my local host. I can go into ask mode and say like, how do I see this locally on a browser? Like if I don't know how to code or anything, I just ran like an ng new, and I'm like, I want to see it. How do I see it?
Yeah.
Go ahead and in Cursor, just go to ask mode and ask it. Oh, and it's telling me something. I mean, it has context of an error I had earlier where there's some more setup we needed to do here. But I didn't want to get into that for scope of this, but like it might give you something you don't understand, like, or something like not relevant to what you want to know. So it's really about asking the right question and being like, because AI always thinks it's right, or if you say it's right, it thinks you're a genius when you're not sometimes.
Right.
You gotta play around with it.
and it does the same fix over and over, calling it a repair, or a fix. And it's like, you didn't do anything different.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing. Like, I don't know. I've been going around to some conferences doing what we called the AI Pirate Code Off Challenge. And what we do is we give each of these models like a different pirate name. Like one's Jack Sparrow, one's like Elizabeth Turner.
Okay.
And we give them like personalities. We're like, okay, act like Jack Sparrow, act like Will Turner, And then we have them face off and see who best helps you code.
Really?
Coding the entire time. So like I've done that presentation too. And the interesting thing I find is we're on Gemini right now.
Yeah.
Gemini is Google's, and it's one of the best to like get you a really good start that like goes deep into it, but it's always a little more technical. And ChatGPT usually will maybe be a little more friendly for someone who's, maybe newer at development. Claude, I think, has kind of consistently been like just a good middle ground for everyone.
Yeah. And Claude, the new Sonnet, right, is really good at building from scratch, right? If you're going to put a prototype together. But what happens when you want to go and launch and deploy it?
Yeah. So you were just talking about Firebase, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's a great way to deploy it. And that's also Google. So, I endorse as well.
This website, the getavibe.com, is all built on Firebase, the entire thing, and it's all vibe coded. It's like,
that's awesome. Yes.
it works. It's functional. It's like, I want this component here. Okay. I don't like that. And I want to change to these brand colors. And I mean, essentially you can build something from scratch and it works. It's functional. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So you can see here, I said, hey, what is the spelled wrong command to see if it's on localhost? See it on localhost, right?
Yeah.
And it's like the command to start your local development server is npm run start. And notice how it got like way less technical as soon as I switched to Sonnet. Like, there's a good takeaway right there. But then it's like, oh yeah, here's a link to it.
So when you go into Gemini, it's going to explain things a lot more, right? Sonnet's going to simplify.
Yeah, and that might also be changed depending on your framework. Like Angular is Google, right?
Yeah.
So is Gemini. So if you ask Google something about Google, it might go like way more technical. I don't know.
Yeah.
But let me see if I can share my full screen so you can see the site.
Even Firebase kind of runs, and Google AI Studio now runs on a similar platform to Cursor, where you can ask the questions, but it's Gemini based, right? So you're not able to choose different models or LLMs, right? But Cursor, you can go back and forth between, Claude and Gemini and Chat, depending on what you like.
Yeah. So like this is, I don't care who you are watching this. Like if you're like a developer, like an accountant, a business owner, like the value you get from Cursor is insanely good.
Yeah.
Like, because you can go into ask mode and you can go between any LLMs. So to give you an example, the other day I was looking at some like MRI results.
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor. I can't understand them. I was looking at them with one model and I was just using Cursor to do it. And I was like, oh, let's try this other model. And the other model was giving like better answers about what those MRI results meant, So even if you're using Cursor as if you're using ChatGPT, it's a great value to just like ask it questions with any model. Because we can come here into ask mode and
so you don't even have to be working on coding. You could just be asking it. Yeah. Just get in there and talk. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. But so here you can see that this is the site. We just started it up. And that worked. The npm run dev worked. Here we are on localhost. This is our site. And our site here is really just in an H1, which is a header. We got the words hoverboards. Beneath that, we have a button with the words generate a model. And this right here, class button primary, that's something called Bootstrap, which is just a CSS library that makes the button look like that.
Okay.
And so this was an ng new, coded pretty much that. And then we did one other thing. And this is where it gets a little more interesting. We're doing generative AI here. And so in Angular, like I was telling you, you could have like, okay, so here's a test component, for example, that was made with that same ng command. And so we could go ahead and add that test component here. So the first thing, I mean, there's really two steps after you generate a component. One, you got to import it in your TypeScript file. So we're going to import test component. And that's the other interesting thing is you see how it just like auto completes too.
Yeah.
And I'm tabbing now. I'm not even like, I used to have to think a lot, you know.
You used to have to put every single word, right? Every symbol, everything in, right?
Yeah.
And now it's pre-built. Is that because of the IDEs, or is that a nature of like Cursor, or like VS Code? I notice it does it too with Python. It'll auto-complete for you.
Yeah. So VS Code, there's a Copilot extension that will tab autocomplete for you that I think is commonly used.
Okay.
Cursor has its own called Cursor Tab, which uses its own model.
Okay.
So, yeah, get Cursor and so here I imported the test component and all I did was press tab like 4 times. Like it just knew what to do,
Right. That's crazy. Yeah.
So now if I go to the HTML here, let's see if it knows how to add it. Oh, look at that. It just knew that I wanted to add app test there. I just pressed tab there and let's save it now.
So you could totally go into agent mode right now in Cursor and it will essentially, you tell it what you want. It'll start building out the entire site for you, right?
Oh yeah,
like
absolutely.
Step by step.
Absolutely. And then tab is kind of be a way to adjust it, or, if you're an experienced software engineer, you want to type it yourself. Cause that is another thing. Like they've done studies that have shown, like my advice for people getting into code though, would be don't have it do everything for you.
Yeah.
Because they have done studies where they've shown that engineers who do that don't grasp the concepts as well, and they really struggle in code tests and so that's where if
that makes sense.
If I was an entrepreneur starting a site, and I just want to get something out, I mean vibe coding it might work great unless you're going to scale it, and in which case you may have vibe coded a vulnerability, right?
Yeah. And I've seen that. There was that dating site recently where they vibe coded the whole thing, and then they had a data leak. It was huge. It's a big deal.
Yeah. So yeah, you definitely don't want to do that.
So if you're learning, then do you turn it to ask mode and then ask it questions, and then do you type it out generally so that you learn it, or does that even make it harder to learn? Because you're not really struggling, right?
Yeah. So that is a good question. So my advice would be absolutely use ask mode.
Okay.
But actually learn from it, and ask it the right questions. That's what I do.
Yeah.
But I still think there's some fundamental knowledge that you're best to just go to a course. So if you're new and you want to learn Angular, just go to the Angular documentation.
Yeah.
And right here, it'll tell you how to install it, just kind of I would read this, what is Angular? Just take the time to go through it. There's a start coding thing here even that, gives you an interactive tutorial you could use without even needing an IDE. So,
and you build it right there as if it's kind of a mock IDE, right? Inside of Angular.
Yeah.
Why would you choose, if you're starting brand new and you don't have any coding experience, would you start with Angular? Would you start with Python? Would you go to JS, TS? What?
Yeah.
What would you do if you were to start fresh?
Yeah. So, I mean, that is a good question, especially because I think one thing all new engineers need to understand is that there's kind of, at least when you get to enterprise level,
Yeah.
roles you fall into, which is front end engineer or back end engineer, or maybe full stack engineer.
Right.
And so, if I was someone who loved, coding things that I can see like this,
Yeah.
I'd say that you're a front end engineer, maybe go with Angular,
Right.
If
Okay.
you're the guy who wants to code the part of this you can't see, you want to code a part that talks to a database that isn't visible but does logic behind the scenes, that's where you get into Python.
Right.
Like Django is a really great backend framework I'm a huge fan of, and really good for beginners to get into.
Right. Okay.
If I was starting a new business and I need to do it all, I'd probably do Angular on the front end and Django on the back end.
Yeah. And it's all about moving data, right? So I was helping somebody out today with a CRM, and it doesn't do what we need it to do. So we kind of have to hack the parts that don't work, right?
Yeah.
To figure out how to get them to talk to each other. And that's where the back end really matters, because the front end interface is important because you've got to make sure the UX and the UI are good.
Yeah.
But the back end is where it's like, that's where it really matters, is, that's where all your data is talking to each other, and if you have one mistake there, that could cost you a lot.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And, that's where I'd say, like, when I was building sites for a lot of people, the number one interest in startups, our clients who are like a mom and pop shop building their site, was the front end. They were like, oh, we want this to look so good. Right. But the top interest in the more established apps was the back end, because now they have data, now they have a lot of user info, and they're like, hey, this needs to be secure. I can't leak this. So.
Right. Yeah, I've got too much info, too many pictures, right?
Yeah. But a new engineer, starting, I would say dive into HTML first, because you can't do any front end framework if you don't know HTML.
Right. And that's how it looks on the screen and how it lays out and everything.
Yeah.
What is your favorite site that you built or app that you built? You built the game, which is a big deal, right? Planet Surfer. What do you have something you want to show us?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm really proud of what I'm doing here at Limble right now.
Yeah.
Going back to when I was a kid, I would build conveyor belts and machinery for fun.
Yeah.
And here at Limble, now I'm doing it for, like, freaking the Green Bay Packers use our software, and, like, all these big companies use our software to keep track of their machines and their parts and their assets. And, like, we got zoos using it. We got, like, companies that make lettuce and companies that make whatever, like manufacture chemicals, and they all use it to keep track of their conveyor belts and their, whatever their assets are, make sure that they don't break. And here we're keeping the road from breaking. And so I'd say Limble is, and we're empowering, the technicians out there who, I love those people.
I think they'll let you keep your job now that you did that plug, right? It should be okay.
It was a genuine plug, though.
Yeah. So do you build all the back end on this site do you use Angular for that?
We use a lot of everything.
Do you? Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I can't say too much, but we use a lot.
Yeah, you're okay. I won't ask your trade secrets. But yeah, that's amazing. So, I mean, is Angular robust enough that it can do everything, or do you really need to be, versed in other programs as well?
I would say right now, if for front end, the front end portion, you're probably looking at Angular or React.
Okay.
Those are the two most popular, and they both can do pretty much everything front end related, right? Yeah. But then it gets more complicated when you think back end related, and then you start adding in, like, really complicated things like message queues and async operations, and you have to add more to your stack, and you have to have various microservices on the back end, multiple back ends. And so it gets more and more complicated the deeper you get into it.
Right.
I'd say it's HTML, JavaScript, and then Angular is where I'd go next now.
So it's kind of like in levels, right? HTML and Java,
Yeah.
and then Angular goes a little deeper, makes it all interact, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got to go to like Python, right? To really go deep on the heavy hitting stuff, the data.
Oh yeah. I love Python. Yes.
Yeah.
Golang is another good one. But that is not beginner. That's like seasoned in your career. You want to make something very performant, get into Golang, maybe something called Rust, which is insanely, is really complicated.
Yeah.
But if you're early in the backend career, then you're looking at probably Python. And so I love this site called Codecademy.
Yeah.
When I was bringing in junior engineers, when I was a CEO, I'd have them do courses here as part of their onboarding. And there's just really good HTML and CSS courses and JavaScript courses on here. I think there's good Python courses too. But yeah, I would recommend it. Maybe not Python. Oh, maybe there is. Yeah.
Yeah. And does it serve somebody? So if you're new to the industry or this field, right?
Yeah.
Do certifications help? Do you need to go to school for this? I mean, what are companies really looking for when you're looking at a programmer?
I mean, that's a great question. So, I went to college and got the degree, did all that stuff. But I have coworkers, who, and friends and colleagues who are senior level, have worked for Microsoft, Google, you name it, that did not go through the college route, and they learned this stuff really well, and they excelled in a code interview. That being said, before you try to get into an enterprise job, you probably need to start a little smaller and, have some like work experience, right? But you could get into a code job just by being good at code, because once you're talking about it, it becomes apparent whether you know it or not.
Right. Right.
Like I know a guy who like has coded for like 5 years. And is one of the greatest engineers I know. And he's like senior level, and he used to be in medicine, and he didn't go to school for it. He just like taught himself. And now he's, a senior engineer, and everyone knows that he deserves it despite less years of experience than the other guy, because he's worked so hard at learning and understanding.
Yeah. See, so that's the key right there, is you got to learn it. There's with vibe coding, you can get to a level, right?
Yeah.
But you're not going deep. And so like I could build a website using vibe coding, right? I can build a simple CRM or application using vibe coding. But I can't really go that deep with it. If I want to do more complex things, now I've got to look at other tools, right?
Yeah. I mean, let me give you a great example. So, I bet you could build this vibe coding. Absolutely. Yeah. But could you tell me why this component only appears when I press this button, vibe coding, and fix it? Right?
Not without my AI assistant.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And since I alluded to it, let me tell you real quick.
Yeah.
Because we put this component in this div that has this if statement that's saying that if there's a generated string. Okay. And so if we wanted this to always show, this
goes into the Python coding, right? So it's like essentially
it shows whether there's a button click or not.
Okay.
This is Angular I'm showing right here.
Right.
Yeah.
So I say Python, but like the if then statements, the booleans, the right, the strings and the variables, right? So because of that if then statement, see, if you don't know that, then you wouldn't even know what to ask when it comes to the AI. I mean, you could ask it what you should be asking. That's what I do sometimes, is I'll just say, hey, what should I be asking that I'm not asking? And then it'll tell me.
Yeah.
So that's one cheat code that I use, but
yeah, that is what you could do. And that's why I was saying the ask thing, because that is like cheat of that is like, you could be like, hey, no, I like, you could be like, hey, give me 1 minute, and like ask AI, be like, oh, it's this is why, you know?
Right. So it's like having I don't know. It's pretty awesome what AI can do. I mean, a lot of people are worried about AI taking their jobs, and there's a big fear around that. And I could see where it can take over and make more efficient a lot of jobs. You know what? I saw an article the other day, and it said what used to take 10 people now takes one that's really good at AI, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really replacing inefficiencies is what it's doing, right? So what about programming and coding?
Yes and no.
Okay, yeah.
So yes, so the problem right now is a lot of leadership and tech people are using AI to vibe code stuff, and then they're saying, "Oh, my team should be faster." But or they'll do that and they'll give it to their team, and then that code that was vibe coded is full of security vulnerabilities. It's because AI is really just an algorithm that of predictability. And so it's pretty consistently wrong. And when it's wrong, sometimes it's very wrong.
Yeah.
And sometimes with AI, when you vibe code, you go in a very wrong direction for a long ways. You give it to a coding team, and it would have been easier for them to code it out. So I think in big organizations, if people are trying to cut their engineering team into one person and telling them to vibe code, they are going to end up on the news with a security vulnerability.
Yeah. Not ideal for anybody.
Yes.
Don't do that.
But it definitely is speeding up engineers still. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's speeding up the engineers who can use it, look at it, say yes or no. There's some things it does really well, like unit tests. There's some things that I would be advised not to vibe code, like, maybe things that could cause security issues in your app.
Yeah. So that would be one case of when not to do it. What would be some other times that you would just probably not want to do vibe coding?
Yeah. So if I was working on a feature that had a lot of complexities.
Okay.
So like if I was working on a feature where a button had to go to a page, but it goes to a different page if someone has a name that's different than another person, and add like 3 more variables to that. Like, obviously I would never code that exactly, but like imagine a feature that has a lot of like things that could go wrong with it and steps of logic.
Yeah.
That's where I would stop, and I would maybe scaffold that logic in natural code, and then maybe the vibe code could go ahead and get it right. And so like a common thing people in coding will see is bugs. Like if you have a bug that like taking a video to recreate that bug takes you like 5 minutes, then vibe coding that will probably get you a lot of wrong answers.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's context, like you can't give it a 5-minute video and expect it to understand that. Or if you type into it and say like, go to this page and have this account signed in with this permission and click this button 3 times and then this breaks. It's gonna be far more wrong, and that's where you're gonna need someone to work on it who can really understand it.
That's I've tried the live stream on like Google AI Studio where you can share your screen and talk to it, and that's one of those experiences where you can see that it's inept when it comes to it, because you start asking it questions and you're showing your screen, and a lot of times it can't even read the screen properly, right? So if you're trying to get it to interpret a video, or they have it on the phone now, where you can do the live streaming with ChatGPT and Gemini, and I like the feature for conversation, but when it comes to complex tasks, it's like it's not really there yet, right?
Yeah. Well, but it thinks it is. It'll be like, "Oh, you are a genius." It's like, no. At first, it'll be like, I got this right. It's absolutely like this. And then if you're an unexperienced engineer and you say something wrong and you'd be like, no, it's like this and it's right and you're wrong, it'll be like, you're a genius. You're right. It'll go your way.
Yeah.
But if it's right, if it's wrong and you're an inexperienced engineer, then you say, and then it'll be like, it is definitely this. Voila. I figured it out. This is the solution. You're like, yes, trust,
It's like the psychics who can guess your future, right? They're like, tell me all about yourself, and then I'll tell you all about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This actually is a good segue into showing you some Gen AI work.
Okay.
So right now, what this does is I have some generative AI in this service. So in Angular, you have components, right, which are the building blocks. And then you have services, are these things that live outside of the components but can be used by any component.
Okay.
So this should just code that any component can call and use. And this component is connected with a API key you can't see.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Gemini. And, after you connect to Gemini, it's pretty easy. All we're doing in this code to use generative AI is we're defining a variable, this .genAI, which equals generative AI, call the import to generative AI, pass in a string or a key. And then you're going to have to, at that point, choose the model. This is the free model, which is why it works. And then temperature is where you'll determine the randomness of your result.
Right.
And
do you throw your instructions in the code for the API call?
And so that's what I was going to show you. Here I am. I am. And actually, a lot of people are. And I mean, it kind of makes sense to do that. If not in the code, then in a file that the code calls or
right. It has to be
some way. You have to tell behind the scenes what it's doing. So what we're telling, and this is fascinating. Really, right now it looks like I have Gen AI that will give you a different name of a hoverboard every time I click on it. Oh, glide board, that could be good. Ember board, that's what this does, right?
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, I'm saying generate a hoverboard name. Do not repeat yourself. Do not repeat names. Always generate a new name. I'm like being very specific on that.
Right.
Names should only be 1 to 2 words long. Only return 2 words no matter what. Like, let me show you what happens if we less specifically tell it what to do.
Right. I'm ready for the hallucinations. Let's
get ready to see what Gen AI really is. Here we go.
The instructions when you're using AI are super important. That's something I've built hundreds of GPTs, and the frustration of getting these outputs that are just so off the wall.
Yep.
It all comes from your input.
Yep. And so you see it there. Generate name of a hoverboard. Okay, here are some hoverboard name ideas. Categorize for that's ChatGPT everywhere or Gemini. Like everybody knows this is what this is now, right?
This is like not even Gemini, but like Gemini 1.0.
Right. And that's the funny thing is, behind the scenes of all of these models you're using. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But if you give it the right prompt, you give it the right conditions, and you get specific data, you can use a data, then you'll be good. And so the reason this works is, one, the prompt is really specifying it.
Yeah.
But there's also another thing going on here. You kind of need to, for something like this, you kind of need to store your previously generated names.
Yeah. Okay.
So this right here is saying prompt, the variable prompt, plus equals. So we're adding to the prompt an additional string that says previously generated names. Do not use these. And then it's returning what's going to be generated. If you don't do that, what's going to happen is really fascinating. We're going to go to AI, and every time I click this, I'm getting the same. Occasionally I'll get something different, but I will frequently get Sky Surfer, if you see that.
Yeah. Okay.
I've gotten it like 4 times. And this is where AI gets fascinating. All of those times, it's still going through like what's called AN and HNSW and these protocols to go look at a large amount of data and tell you the best answer, and like mapping that together.
Which is still impressive, right?
Yeah, which is impressive, which is why sometimes it's different. But
yeah.
like the dimensional values still will come with, this is the best random thing, even though you're telling it to be random, because like random is a value that it's predicting on.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you don't tell it, look, you can't use, so it's collecting automatically the names you've used, putting those back into the code, and then resubmitting that to the AI, right? As part of the prompt.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why this is so important and allows it to actually change each time. And so now you can see it's changing each time.
Do you think as a coder that your mind, you're seeing all the connections, right? So you're seeing how this piece feeds to that piece, to that piece, to that piece, and you're able to kind of broadcast out and predict out how these are all going to interact. And then you don't really know until you test it, but you kind of take on this mindset of being able to play out before it's even a reality. You're able to see the connections all come together, right? And then you're not only that, you're able to actually bring it into the reality and make it happen.
Yep.
Is that accurate?
Absolutely. And that comes to this like state called flow, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And back to what I was saying about like really learning to code and understand, is it allows you to get in a flow state where even you can be in flow using AI if you understand what's going on.
Right.
But when you don't understand what you're doing, it's hard to get in flow, because you're not like, when you're in this state, you get in the state of flow by like really understanding complex things that are going on in the code. And then as you're writing it, you know what you're going to do next and know what it all means. You know what's going to happen. And, you know, like even if you're a new engineer and you're just doing some JavaScript,
yeah,
you'll get in that state of flow if you do it enough without just AI, you know?
Yeah.
But if your whole coding experience is telling the agent like, do this, do this, do this, do this, then you never get to the critical thinking side where you're able to really understand what you're doing.
Right.
And it becomes more like a wrestling match, you know, and you're like, work this time, you know, like now again, that works.
Hey, know? Man, I've done that.
Yeah.
Like I've muscled through it. I've made some things with it, but man, it burns you out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I definitely have done that too, right? You know, like sometimes that's the move, just wrestle through it, get it done. Right. And that's a talent too, you know, like I know a lot of people who can get in really smart, can understand the code, but they're scared to use AI like that.
Right.
And the people who aren't afraid to really just dive in, get something going with AI, get something, you know, get a site out there, they're going to run laps around the people now who are so careful that they are going to take a month to do what someone could do in like a week, you know?
Right.
Is after you build it, maybe come back and try to understand what you built.
That I think is where I'm at. You know, like this is I'll share this screen here real quick. Let's see. So this is one I coded, vibe coded RV lead gen site. You know, and this is all vibe coded. It's on Firebase. You know, so it's
that's so good.
You can select your locations. It's got an AI chatbot that is actually programmed with all the information, you know, on the process and the company. So it's like, but it's all vibe coded. It's all through Firebase. But what I try to do, like you said, is, and there's a backend to it too. So there's a lot that you can do, which is pretty impressive, right? When it comes to vibe coding, but there's a level of security that is at play too. You know, when I talked to Joy, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, you know, and she was talking about the importance of security. Yep. And she's like, if you ever want to feel secure, go to a securities conference, you know, a security conference.
Yes.
They'll make you feel safe. But that's a big thing, you know, when you're dealing with data and information, it just, you know, you really need to pay attention to stuff like that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the bigger your code base gets, you know, like,
right. Okay.
Like I could make a 3-page site that's like solid, with AI.
Yeah.
But after you have like 500 pages and you have a million different like people in your database and your database,
That's what you're working with, right?
yeah, that's what I'm working with. Your database
Yeah.
has like, many, many different tables. Then it starts to become like, even the best tool at that point is Cursor, and probably where you're at now, it might be Cursor. Like when you're first coding, you can get away with like using Bolt, right? Or like I think Level
Yeah.
one. As you get deeper, you get to this point where you have to switch to an IDE like Cursor so you can target specific changes.
Right.
And then eventually you get to a point where you have so much code that you're going to probably need to like really understand what's going on to work with that code.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, for me, I'm studying Python right now. I use a little app called Mimo, it's on my phone, and I'll just sit and do that. But man, it is a foreign language to me.
Yeah.
It is so out there, and I get it. I get the flow, but
Yeah.
and I look at Angular, and it's the same thing. It's another language. And what I know about the brain is we have the ability to learn anything, and if we're willing to put in the time and effort, we can really learn anything. And so I'm trying to slow down. At 50, I'm adding this to my tool belt, and I'm trying to learn, like, how do you do this? And it's literally like learning a language,
Yeah. Well, I can tell you something, Nick, like 5 years from now, you're gonna be that guy I was telling you about, like,
Yeah.
like you're on track, man. Like the way you talk about how you're all in on this, like you keep that drive and you got this, no problem.
Yeah, cool. Is there anything you would share with somebody that's watching, maybe if they're just getting started, or just a key piece of wisdom, any nudge that you get there?
Yeah, I would say probably use Cursor.
Okay.
Make sure that you understand your code as you get deeper into it, but don't be afraid to use Cursor. You need to ride that wave to stay forward, is to stay ahead of things. And I'd also say start looking into unit tests and end-to-end tests is probably something that junior engineers need to get into early.
Okay.
Or apps with that are new. Otherwise, you end up with a big app and no testing. And as it scales, you then have to hire a lot of people to solve a lot of bugs. But if you can make unit tests and end-to-end tests early in the process and keep on top of them, you'll save a lot of time fixing bugs later.
Okay. Yeah, cool. So slow down, right? Essentially, slow down.
Slow down, speed up.
Yeah, AI is a cool tool, but there's a lot of things it can't do yet. But it is advancing. So yeah, you still have to learn these things, like you're saying, and so I think that's important. Yep. So yeah, I'll have people connect with you here on LinkedIn. So I've got your address there, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Yep. And then I appreciate you being on, man. I learned a ton from just the interactions here. I have some sense of Angular, but now I have some more understanding of how it interacts and works. And I'm going to go play with it. I have a Cursor account, and I'm going to go play with it. I'll build an app and I'll send it over. I'll be like, hey, dude, check this out.
Oh, I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Man, you're going to have no problem with it. It'll just be like ng new, and then on NGGC, and then you'll have a component, and then
it'll be like, what's up, ng? I got it all, right?
I have one more funny thing to tell you about that.
Yeah.
So I saw this meme recently where a guy was vibe coding, and his developer friend texts him and says, hey, how's it going? And he responds like, great, I just made my first app. It works awesome. The developer responds, awesome, can I see it? And then the guy vibe coding responds absolutely and sends him link localhost colon 4200.
I think people understand what that means, right? As they get into this, it's like, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, dude, check it out. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
Matthew, thanks for being on. Appreciate you sharing all your wisdom and knowledge. If you are new to coding and you want to reach out, please do. If you need a great speaker or trainer on these concepts, then you need to hire Matthew. He's really phenomenal at what he does. And so he'll slow down with you and your team and show you how to do that. So go get your vibe on. Thanks for being a part of this, and we will see you in the next episode. Take care.